This episode of the Vic MX Show is brought to you by Wonthaggi motorcycles and power equipment. Whether you're out on the road, playing in the dirt, or on the water, Wonthaggi motorcycles and power equipment have got you covered with their great range of motorcycles, marine, and outdoor power equipment. Servicing South Gippsland for over 25 years, their friendly and knowledgeable staff pride themselves on being able to deliver the highest level of service. Stocking a full range of Kawasaki and Honda road, dirt, and adventure motorcycles, kids' bikes, ATVs, riding gear, consumables and hard parts, Wonthaggi motorcycles and power equipment are your one-stop shop when it comes to having fun.
My name's Cooper Danaher and you're listening to the Vic MX Recap Show.
There were times I was lost, dark had fear, couldn't see through the rain. In the end it was clear, hit the fan. I was more than one man who was there to lend a hand. Together we'd stand, always had my back, my guardian soldier. Team pulled together, united we conquer. Blessed is he who in the name of charity carry me when I'm weak straight through the valley of darkness. Pitch blackness, the heartless, regardless, fear couldn't part us. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. We ride, 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 ride. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper.
Welcome back, Moto fans. We have got another great show lined up for you today. We've just ticked off round 3 of the Senior Victorian MX Championship at Horsham last weekend. And despite the numbers being a little low on the gates in some classes, it delivered some absolutely unreal racing and some standout performances. Now let's get straight into the show tonight. A little later, we'll be meeting a couple of the riders who raced at Horsham. But first, joining me to co-host, Kenny Watts. Welcome back, buddy.
Mate, how you doing? I've thawed out.
Yeah, mate. Sunday was actually all right, but Saturday, I think next time I come to Horsham, I need you to turn up the thermostat quite a bit before I arrive.
I've never seen ice on the track.
Oh, really?
Yep, never seen that before.
So it's your local stomping ground, isn't it?
Yeah, I've only been hanging around Horsham for about 25 years, and I've never seen ice.
Wow.
Never seen ice on track. It was ice, just a real thin layer over the top of the track in places. So
Saturday morning was sub-zero. I actually came prepared. I had thermals. I had a jacket. I was well rugged up, and I actually stayed warm until probably, I reckon, about 2 hours to go towards the end of the day, and it finally, the cold got to me, and it took me hours after I got back into the warmth afterwards to actually thaw out. Yeah, it was really, really cold.
Totally different for what we're used to, I'd never seen it like that before. So added extra moisture to the track with what fell overnight, like the condensation or whatever. It made it a little bit wetter in practice. But
yeah, there was a bit of talk about that with the track on Saturday, especially in the morning. It was super slippery, and down behind that big step down, I think it was quite muddy. What sort of prep did you put into the track in the lead up to the round?
I went out there and personally watered it for about 25 mil the weekend before. We got a heap of rain the weekend before, and the track was actually open because it was dry. So the boys opened it up in the lead up to that rain event. And then, they come back out on, I think it was Thursday night. The boys just give it a little drink and check sprinkler system mainly. They didn't want to go into the weekend and have sprinkler issues or anything like that. So they give it a little run on the Thursday night.
Yep.
Found they had an issue and fixed that first thing Friday. And then, I jumped on the track that Friday afternoon about 3 o'clock, I think. And then they followed me and give it a little drink after that to soften up any clods, but just the moisture overnight coming in.
It was just that little bit more.
It added to it, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
to the point we did not water the track for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
At a point mil or something Saturday night.
Yeah, it was interesting the way that it shaped up on Sunday compared to Saturday. So, like on Saturday morning, like I said, it was quite slippery and you could see sort of the softer dirt over a hard base. But then on Sunday, it was like so tacky. Even to walk across it was tacky. All the riders were saying that the traction was absolutely unreal. This is my third time to Horsham, and I guess Saturday was a lot like the Pro MX last year, which was the first time I'd been up there. But then Sunday, like I said, it was completely different. It didn't rut up anywhere near as much. It was super, super grippy. It turned out to be a fast track. What's it normally like out of those two sets of conditions?
Most times we'll get the Sunday type track at most of our events.
Yep. I think it produced some fantastic racing, especially both days were great, but definitely on Sunday it was just phenomenal. I put the camera down a few times and I could appreciate some of the battles that were going on track.
The racing was amazing both days. The racing was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We did have.
It may have been cold at Horsham, but the racing was hot.
Who said that, Kenny? Who said that?
Pete Wolf. I thought I'll grab that and run with that. Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit witty.
It's in the paper and everything. So.
Fantastic.
You can get royalties. I'll shout you a drink at the next round.
Sounds like a plan. Definitely. Round 3, we knew we were going to lose some of the Pro MX big guns that were sort of getting experience for each of the preceding Pro MX rounds for rounds 1 and 2. But the numbers were a little bit down on the gates this weekend. What do you think contributed to that?
Well, at the previous 2 rounds, we ran an 85 feature at Wonthaggi. We ran a 65 feature at Traralgon. So you lost the junior 65 riders, which, what was there, 10, 15?
Yeah.
15 maybe. So out of them, and then you take, I think maybe out of the Pro MX side of it, maybe 20 riders maximum. And then we just lost the rest off at a distance to Horsham, I think. And some were getting their makeup done and things like that.
Well, they actually missed a great weekend, I think, at the end of the day. The distance is the distance. We're still in Victoria, so it's closer than, a lot of places that these riders travel to ride and race.
Some do stick locally, though. So the first two rounds were in the Gippsland region, which is closer to Melbourne than what Horsham is. So I suppose a little bit of that, just round 3.
Yep.
You sort of cater to lose a little bit. So we've discussed this a lot, actually, over the time I've been on management, about whether we run 3 or 4 series. Now, if you run a 3-round series, round 2 drops off. If you ran a 4-round series, they drop off on round 3.
Yep.
So, to be able to offer everything that we do for the Vic titles, you've got to run the 4th and allow for that drop off. So it's in the calculations of running it, but to get 2 good rounds off a bit, and hopefully the last round doesn't drop off, and you can, but if you only run a 3-round series, well, they start dropping off at the 2nd round, and then it's a lot harder. So
yeah, and while we didn't have sort of full gates, there was still plenty of riders lining up. It wasn't like we had gates of 6 or 7 riders. Most of the gates were at least sort of 10 to 20 riders, sometimes even a little bit more. So it was still, well contested.
Yeah, like there was people that have commented that that's the first time they've been to Horsham.
Yep.
And some have said they haven't been here since 2013 Aussie Juniors.
That's a long time.
So, so when you look at that, you're thinking, why?
Yeah.
Why it's been that long since you've come back?
Well, I really enjoyed the weekend. It made for some fantastic photos. I really loved the way that the weather changed. Like, we got some really dark clouds, like really ominous looking, even though it didn't rain. And it just created a real vibe in the photos. And then especially the way the track rutted up, the dirt, the river in the background. Like, it's been one of my favourite places to shoot this year, actually.
Yeah, well, that's the way we want it. So,
all right. Well, the results are now up on Speed Hive. As per our usual spiel, we're not going to go through every result and every class, but let's have a chat about some of the standout performances from the weekend. I've made a few notes. All Powers A. There was some mug that came back. I haven't seen him on track for a while. They call him Rubber Arms. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Do you know that guy?
Whatever you call him. He had a commentator excited to see his boy back out riding again. 19 months and he turns up and gets 2 seconds. So
that was
has not raced a bike in 19 months.
That's pretty impressive, mate.
Yeah. Just plays footy up in Queensland. He's ridden his bike 3 times at ride parks in Queensland since Christmas time, and the year before he never touched a bike at all.
Yeah, that's incredible. And he looked good out there, and he looked pretty fit until he had a little bit of a dirt sample in the third moto.
Well, once he went down and they all went past, he goes, I've had me fun.
Yep.
It's not going to be fun having to try and race back through the field. So.
Yeah, we are, of course, talking about Kenny's son, Corey, who made his grand reappearance after living up north.
You know, if you're going to go anywhere for Corey to have a ride, it's got to be at Horsham because he's very good at Horsham. So if you're going to give him any chance of running with the boys, Horsham's got to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows the track, and he actually, with the changes we've made, he was even liking the new changes we've put in place. So,
well, like we said, the track raced amazing. There was plenty of passing, there was plenty of battles, a lot of inside-outside, options. It was really cool, mate. I think it was a lot better even than the Pro MX last year. Yeah,
I think the track is it's fast now. They were doing a minute 45s or something like that. So
yeah.
Might be a little bit too fast, but unfortunately it did catch a couple of riders out. They get a little bit out of shape and then going at pace, it sort of modifies the outcome a little bit, unfortunately. But yeah, there was one rider had a bit of a snooze on the track. I've spoken to him since. He's okay. A bit battered and bruised, but nothing's broken, which is good.
And I think Bryce Ognenis narrowly escaped. Yeah.
They reckon he done Chad Reed.
Yeah. That's what I heard, the Chatterpult.
The outcome of that race was amazing, what he done.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get to that. I've made a note of that.
Yep. Yeah.
When we get to Sunday. All right, we'll move on then. All Powers B. Seb Bartlett, very dominant, perfect weekend for him. He's, again, we sort of said it before, he could have gone up to A grade. He had the injury last year. He's definitely capable of it. He made the decision to stay back, and I think he's going from strength to strength, and he looks fantastic every time he hits the track.
Yeah, had a moment in one race and worked his back through to second. I think he might have got second in that one.
Yep.
But he was way back, and then I thought, he might have knocked himself around a bit, but he might have got winded or something, and then took him probably 3 laps, I reckon. And then all of a sudden he goes, I feel okay, and then back into it again and got up into second. So some great riding from him. Yeah. Is
it just me, or is he getting taller at every round?
He won't want to get much taller. What can you put him on? Like a 450 will carry him, but it's still the same height, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's going to have to put a Finke desert race seat on his bike or something. I don't know.
I'm not joking. He's like, he looks taller to me every time I see him.
Yeah. Like what you'll see him doing, back in the old days, you had the BMX push bike, the dragster with the high-rise handlebars. He's going to be wearing them around.
Like some Harley bars on there.
Harley bars for him.
Yeah.
The gate hangers just so he can stand up properly.
They'll call it the Seb Bartlett bend. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to get Pro Taper to make a set for him.
All Powers C. Tyler Rolfe had a problem with his 250. I think it blew up during the week or a week or two ago. I was talking to his dad. So he was out there on the 125, trying to save some points in All Powers and then in MX2C on the Sunday as well. But he had a really great day in the All Powers C.
He was actually the fastest rider in one of the qualifying. Like, I'm not sure if it was Saturday or Sunday, but he was the fastest qualifier.
Yep.
So gate pick all day. So it was like pretty funny that the 125 done that. So
yeah, especially, I mean, it was heavy going on Saturday as well, and he went 1-2-2 to take out the win in the all-power C class.
he was getting around good on it.
Yeah.
You know, you could see that it wasn't his preferred bike because he had doctored up a sticker kit for the bike and
Gaffer
everything
tape.
else. So, yeah, but he made the effort, and that's all you can ask. You know, is just make an effort with it. If it's not your preferred bike and you borrowed it, or it's your bike that you just have fun with at home and you got to race it, it's just you got to make an effort to put a sticky kit on it and make it compliant. So he done a good job out there. I thought he got, you know, some tracks will suit a smaller bike, and it did for him in on the weekend anyway.
No, I totally agree. Jesse Clemo Clemson, he could have taken the win in that class. He DNF'd in the first moto and then went 1-1 in motos 2 and 3 to finish up 5th overall. Do you know what happened to him in the first moto?
No, I do not know. But I know the rider you're talking about, 454, so
yep.
Don't know. Yeah.
He's a real character. Every time he sees the camera, he always gives the shackers or does something on the way past or screams out. No, he cracks me up.
I don't know what happened to that, but I think he went all right on Sunday too. So
yeah, he did. He ended up on the podium, so we did a podium interview with him on the Sunday.
Yeah, he was wrapped.
Yep, no, for sure. They had some great battles, those boys. We'll get to that too. 30-plus expert vets. Man, this class has some very, very heavy hitters for a vet class. Ray Cole, who we'll be chatting to a little bit later. Ali Kent, the CDR Yamaha mechanic, and Al Lewis, you know, a genuine A-grade level rider. They were the top 3 in this class, and, yeah, they put on a show all weekend as well. Yeah,
all good riders and all consistently race in A-grade, given the opportunity, like at region level or, you know, like in the Gippies and things like that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Ali doesn't get to ride as much as he'd like to at being the mechanic, but I think occasionally he might sneak on a bike and give it a test run, but he goes well. But Raymond Cole just straight back from his previous weekend at the Finke. Didn't slow down at all, did he?
No, it's a bit of a big transition from Finke to Horsham.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No steering dampers at Horsham. Ali Kent, man, that guy can throw a bike around.
Yeah, he's previously been Vic 2. He's finished, I think previously he's finished the Vic titles in second place.
Yep.
Back in the day. So he's not a slouch on a motorbike and can ride for sure.
MX3. Now, this was an absolutely crazy class.
It threw everything at it, didn't it? The kids were having a go because there was a little bit on the line. You know, it's probably went in a little bit under the radar, but these kids were racing for, you know, to finish in the top 5 and get that invitation to go to Darwin. So
yeah, and that's definitely how they were racing. I mean, Jack Devison took out the win with an 8-1-1, and even he couldn't believe it. Like when we were doing the podium interviews, it's like you're on the number 1, and he's like, no, I'm not. It's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, well, he's raced at Horsham a few times over his junior career, and now he's living in Victoria, and that's pretty cool that he's made the commitment to move down here and train with the Beaton boys. And he rode well, didn't he?
He rode.
All boys did, actually. Yeah, it was very, some absolutely amazing racing to watch.
Yep. So am I right in saying that the top 5 now will go through and get an invitation to race at the MXGP?
Top 5 will now there'll be communication with management and the top 5.
Yep.
And that 6th rider, it could be the top 6, it depends.
Yep.
We'll also look at outstanding performances at ProMX Nationals that may affect an invitation.
Yep. Well,
if they've done outstanding, but most of the riders that have done our series have also been doing the ProMX Nationals, and they've all been pretty consistent contenders in that too. So,
yeah. Well, as it stands at the moment, so is Jack Devison now considered a Victorian?
He lives at Inverloch.
Yep. Okay.
Him and his mum live in Inverloch permanently.
Yep. So as it stands now, the top 5 are Jack Devison, Caden Strode, Balin Townsend, Cade Kingsford, and Oscar Kimber. And then in sixth place is Austin Boyd.
Yep. Kingsford lives down in that area too. He may live with you, does he? I don't know. Where's he live?
Yeah, I think he's in the Inverloch area as well. He trains on the Beaton's Pro Formula program, so he's definitely...
Yeah, they've all moved down here, and they'll talk to him, but yeah.
Well, back to Horsham. Balin Townsend finished behind Jack Devison in second on a countback.
He's riding good, isn't he?
Yeah, he rode unbelievable on the whole weekend.
Yes.
Caden Strode, third place on the weekend. Again, equal points with Balin. Austin Boyd in fourth place with a win.
Boyd had a good race too, and Strode had bike issues.
Boydie had some cracking starts as well.
Yes.
So that was really impressive. Yeah, he took the win in Moto 1 and then gradually went back a little bit with each moto. And Oscar Kimber...
He's riding good lately, though.
Yeah.
Boydie is.
Oscar Kimber as well. He had some really good starts. Battled up front in one of the motos. I think it was Moto 1 and finished up with a third in that moto. So
he nearly missed one of his races. He was up at the clubhouse signing autographs because he was on the front cover of the program. So,
I should have got one of those programs, signed programs.
Yeah, he was up signing autographs for the kids, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, if those top 5 or even top 6 represent Victoria at the MXGP, I think we're going to do all right. That's a pretty strong lineup, I think.
Yeah. Now it's a matter of the commitment of the rider, and then if we can somehow try and help them get up there and things like that, because there's the Darwin government's contributing to bringing the international riders over, but there's no consideration for local talent, which would have been good if there was that sort of assistance of some description, but anyway.
In terms of the actual competition, so is it a team competition there? So is there like a state-based score as well? Is it state versus state?
I think there is. I think they have got a state result.
Yep.
Because it's a state challenge, but then it's also the individual award that you can get from being the winner or making the podium, and you've got riders, teams and riders and everything that's going to be there for the weekend being the GP. Nothing wrong with putting your best foot forward in front of them, and we've got a lot of Australian riders racing overseas. So if you can pull something together at that event, and you never know what the outcome is, do you?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of eyes watching.
Yes, yeah. Years ago when they ran a race meeting at Broadford, the GP at Broadford, McFarlane and Burner and Reed was smoking the international riders. So that opened the door for starters, to get them over there. So we can only hope.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see, and I can't wait to watch some of these boys. There's a couple of potentially 4 Mental for Moto guys in there, so I'm going to be stoked to go see these boys rip it up.
Yeah, and they may be in a position to go, and some will say, "No, look, my focus is on Supercross," and it will be there. The invitation will be there, and then we'll just go from there, and then try and work out some way of helping them out.
Yeah. It'll be a massive opportunity. I think, like you said, there'll be a lot of eyes watching. There'll be a lot of coverage of the event as well. So, obviously there's a big financial cost to going and it may not be within reach of some of the riders, but if you choose to sit that out, I think that is potentially something you might regret for a lot of years down the track.
Yeah. No, look, we're hoping that the riders, they all showed interest in doing it, and they were all keen as, and, when they had issues with their bikes, the frustration and going, well, that probably wrecked my chances of going.
Yep.
So they sort of showed their cards that they were interested and keen to be involved in this thing. So, Oscar Kimber had a bike issue at one round, and they said, oh, that's probably wrecked that now.
Yeah, well, it hasn't.
The family was showing that it was on their wish list to be able to achieve. So
yep.
I think some might look at it in a totally different aspect to just being a state challenge. It might be but it's a massive achievement to be able to get there and race in front of them and be there and watch it. And
No, unreal.
Yeah.
All right, we better keep this show rolling. Clubman Women's, Maddie Bird, 1-1-1. Perfect weekend for her, taking it out. Claire Montgomery in second. Like, hasn't she improved over the last couple of years? I think every time I see her ride, she looks better and better out there.
More confident. Yeah, young Carla Burns had a moment, went down, and it took her that race she just cruised around in that race. That probably cost her second place, but Claire was riding good.
Yeah, yep.
Maddie Bird, I've probably mentioned it before, she's a mum of 3 kids, so that's a great achievement. She's a train driver, motorbike rider, and mum of 3, so that's not a bad thing to have, is it?
Yeah, it's unreal. I was confused in the morning when we did the podium presentations from the previous round when she got up and she's got bub in arm and plate in the other hand.
That was only one, like she's got a little girl and twin boys. So
yep. Oh, she's got her hands full, and I think she probably enjoys getting out on the bike and getting a little bit of a break.
Yeah, she rides a Honda for Scriven's Honda, mate. So. Just that in there.
Yep. Expert ladies, Emily Lambert, 1-2-1.
Yep.
You've claimed her as a Horsham local, even though she lives just over the border.
No, she's been a Horsham club member from like on a 50 or 65.
Yep.
And she's a good rider and getting used to the 250. And she put it down in one race, but she's riding really good.
Yeah, and Maddie Healy finished up second. She was under the weather a little bit with the flu after Finke. But
big effort to travel from Finke and they drove home. And she's feeling a bit crook and then still fronts up and races. Get some good points. Yeah,
Maddie Healy's an accomplished racer, but not taking anything away from Emily. Like,
no,
she went after it and made the most of the opportunity.
Yeah, and she's really starting to gel with that 250. So I think she's been riding good. And then she had that little off, and unfortunately, at our previous event at Horsham, it was in that area she fell off last time. It was like, oh no, not in that area again, but she just missed the rut or whatever and went down hard and picked herself up and got going again.
Yep, I've got a little challenge going with her at the final round. I said I'm going to get a photo of her smiling. So
I get a smiling, but
yeah. For the camera though, she always puts the race face on. So
yeah, she does. So
yeah.
It's hard getting her to interview, talk up.
Maddie Healy leads the championship by 12 points over Emily Lambert at the moment. So fairly close. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out over the final round. That's going to be really cool. Keita Diprose edging out Kaylee Cameron for third as well. So
them two had a good little duel going on there.
They did.
And Keita out of Tassie come across and rode well. And Kaylee's starting to get back into form again too. So after her, she was injured last year for a bit. And I think it's a confidence thing with her on the bike. She looked good on the weekend, which is really good for the girls. So,
and Keita's just stepped up from the junior girls from last year, so it's her first year in seniors, so she's doing well. Yeah,
that's right. And coming over, they love it, so which is good.
Yeah. Vet 40, Corey Vanderlei, he's back in form. Love watching that guy ride. He looks like it's effortless. If you talk to him after the race, it definitely isn't effortless.
No.
But he's just got...
He's keen to have a good year. And
very keen.
He's had some just bike issues and things like that, but it all seems to be gelling good at the moment. And Corey's riding well. And he was really good on the weekend.
Yeah, he actually had a fairly significant injury for a little while. But he's gotten past that now. He had in the last moto, great battle with Levi Collins. So Levi got the start and led for probably, I reckon, it'd have to be almost every lap except for the last one or two. Corey finally got him. And I actually said to Corey afterwards, I thought you were just going to mail it in because you had the overall. And he goes, nah, mate, I wanted to win every moto. So... the hunger's still there. These boys might be a little bit older, but the hunger's still there for sure.
Yeah, and Levi's been riding really good. I spoke to him at GV about his riding lately, and just said, mate, I believe you're riding amazing at the moment. And he was, like, oh, thanks very much, Kenny. I'm really trying and everything else. So, yeah, it's paying off for him, which is good.
No, most definitely.
Mm.
In the Vet 50 class, Peter Sullivan, he's running the number 2 at the moment. He's going for the number 1 plate.
Yeah, he's a good rider, Pete, isn't he? So,
yeah.
And Adam White, he was right there with him. So they had some good duels.
Yeah, they did. And it's actually Adam White who leads the championship at the moment by quite a considerable margin. He's got a 25-point gap over Vance Powell and Paul Adams in third. So, that's a good effort for Paul on the Stark as well.
Yeah, Paul gets the whole shot in every race on that Stark Dark. And then slowly, because of his focus is on the team and his business and everything else, the old fitness starts to come into play later in the race and he drops back a bit. But he knows how to get a good start.
Just looking at the championship, so Peter Sullivan actually sits in 4th because he missed round 1, but he's won every single moto since then. Yeah,
I think he was like overseas or right up the top of Australia. He's somewhere away for like a motorbike trip or something, I believe so.
Well, I think
he's a good rider.
Yeah, he definitely is. I think he sits currently 32 points behind second, so I can't see him catching Adam for the championship, but you never know. Might make second and keep that plate, that number 2 plate. Moving on to Sunday, MX2A. This was probably, for me, the most exciting and closely contested class of the weekend. I've had a look at the results. Everyone in the top 7 had a moto finish that was at least 4th or better. Yes. And, they were all battling. It was mixed up for every moto. Ty Keane ended up taking it out with
Horsham club member.
Yep, with a 5-1-1.
Yes.
Caden Strode actually leads the championship in the MX2 A-grade class on 142 points over Brodie Connolly and Seth Birchall, who, of course...
never were there.
Yeah, so they haven't done this round and they're probably not going to do the last one. So the next rider in line is Jack Kenny on 117 points. So barring catastrophe, Caden Strode is sitting in a really good spot for that championship.
Yep, and he's been riding really good anyway. And it was only the bike issues Saturday that hampered his results on Saturday, but Sunday they just were on a different bike altogether, and they still haven't found what was causing the bike issues. So
that's always scary, isn't it?
And you when it's going past and it's coughing and spluttering, and you're thinking, do not have an issue on one of our jumps.
Yep, they are some big jumps out at Horsham.
It can shit itself going down the straight. Not a problem, but the last thing you want to see is a bike shit itself just in the last metre of an up ramp of a jump or something like that, or the step down the back or whatever. And you're going, nah, this is not ideal, watching that bike coughing and spluttering going around on a motorbike track.
Yeah.
It held on for that race.
Speaking of spluttering, Jacob Sweet's bike in a couple of motos on Sunday did not sound healthy. I don't know what it had going on. But
it had smoke puffing out the exhaust.
It sounded like there was a tin can rattling around in the engine.
Yeah, there was, as it was coming past me a couple of times, I spotted it puffing smoke out. So I didn't know what that was, but yeah.
Well, he didn't let off.
No, I think the throttle's jammed, so you should get through near to check that out, because the throttle didn't look like it was going back at all. It was just flat out.
That's the way he rides, yep.
Yeah.
MX2B, Seb Bartlett taking out the win 1-4-1. Judd Chislett, very consistent weekend, 2-2-2 to take out second over Tommy D'Amico. I got a question for you, Kenny. Judd's front plate says Lewis Chislett.
Does it?
I only noticed it in some photos. What's that about?
I would not have a clue on that. Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, that's a good question. We'll do that. He rides for Scrivo, and he's a rider that's come in late in his juniors and had a year in C grade, won that. Had a year in seniors in C grade, and this is his first year in B grade, his third year of racing. And rides really good, but I don't know, he just struggles at the bigger events to get that qualifying lap in. But as you've seen on Sunday, the kid can ride a bike.
Oh, most definitely.
How do you pronounce Tommy's last name?
D'Amico.
Yeah, mate, I butchered it. D'Amico. Tomato, I don't know what it is. It just I seem to struggle with his.
Jeez, that's one of the least complicated ones, Kenny. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's Demetrio. I put a CH in it somewhere, and I butcher it. But the dad laughs. He thinks it's funny.
It's one of those ones that just changes every time you say it. Is that one of those names? Yeah. MX2C, Sam Thompson takes out the win over Jackson Hemming. Now, these two boys who actually finished up on top of this class, when I'm watching them, they do not look like C-grade riders to me.
No.
Yeah, I mean...
No, well, hopefully the way they're going, they won't be next year either. So, yeah, they're riding well. Tomo does races 125s in the juniors at the Westerns on the Saturday and then races the senior on Sunday.
I mean, Jackson Hemming, I was filming him on the weekend, very, very fast, but he definitely he gets a bit loose at times.
So he used the Saturday for track time.
Yep.
Because he'd never been to Horsham, I don't think, and used that, and then Sunday he went well.
Yeah, I think he said on the podium that he's coming back after a while off the bike as well. So that might have something to do with it too.
Yep.
Shout out to Lawson Townsend, finished up 7th overall, which is a great result for him. Yeah, he rode really, really well. He's obviously the younger brother of Balin Townsend. But he's improving every time I see him ride as well. So that's always cool. Ryder Nickel, 4th overall, currently leads the championship by 6 points over Gabriel Teresh.
He got better as the day went on, though.
Yeah, he was feeling a bit under the weather early on, I think.
Yeah.
We went out for dinner on the Saturday night, and there was like 4 of us that weren't feeling so great over the night. So, maybe something in the food. But after the first moto, he went and had a lay down because, he wasn't feeling the greatest, but pulled it all together and ended up finishing strong and salvaging some good points. So, like I said, he leads the championship over Gabriel Teresh with Zev Hughes running 3rd. Now, Tyler Rolfe was leading this class, but he's dropped back after a DNF in Moto 1 at Horsham. I'm not sure what that was about, but...
I didn't know about that one either.
So he went 4-4 in the Motos 2 and 3 on the 125. So still not too far behind, but definitely, he's dropped back a fair bit. MX1A. Now, this was another one of those classes that you just had to watch. Jacob Sweet, Bryce Ognenis, they've battled at quite a few of these rounds. Jacob Sweet went 2nd in the first moto. Bryce Ognenis took it out. And then in the second moto, Bryce Ognenis had a massive crash over number 2. That was, that was huge. That's what we spoke about a little bit earlier in the podcast. But, I mean, how he walked away from that to get back up on the bike and then come back and finish 2nd, the dude's an animal.
Yeah, I think he gets, as long as when he goes down, he doesn't hurt himself, he gets angry.
Yes.
And he rides like amazing. It's amazing to watch when he just gets, whether he gets disappointed in what he's done or upset with making a silly mistake or something. He just goes out there and like, it was like, oh, Jesus, this is...
Yeah. Well, we saw that. I mean, in Moto 2, he didn't have to come from as far back because it was sort of midway through the race and he was already up sort of towards the pointy end. But in the last moto, he went down off the start and got up, and he was probably 300 metres behind the last rider in the pack. And
I've seen some footage of him down, and then knew that was the race there. He come back right through and got 2nd.
Yeah, and he was within sort of 10, 15 metres of Jacob Sweet. at the finish, man. He just saw red, and I actually thought that him and Jacob must have come together off the start because the way that he was chasing, I was like...
Yeah, it was like he was angry, but it was not that. It was just...
They pulled up at the red flag after the finish, and he pulled up like very abruptly next to Jacob, and I thought, oh, here we go, they're going to have words, and then they fist bumped. So,
I was watching his race, and he was like full on, giving it everything to try and catch up. So
unbelievable ride, and I was saying in my head through the whole race, like, what an animal, just what an animal to be going through that pack of riders. There's some very accomplished riders in there, but he wants, to carry the number 1 plate into 2026, and he's currently sitting 2 points behind Jacob now in the championship. So
we got I did not realise it was that close. So.
Yeah, it's going to go down to the wire.
Jacob had the overall this weekend, and was at 1 point. Jacob got the overall at Traralgon too by 1 point.
He did. Yep.
Yeah. So
it's going to be very, very close. It's going to go down to the wire.
Down the wire for the last round.
Yeah. Patrick Martin rounded out the podium in this class with 5.34. And I said to Patrick, because I was doing photos for him, and at the last 3 events, he hasn't done more than 1 moto. So I said to him, you've got to get more. You've got to get all the motos in today so I can get some photos of you. And
make it hard getting. Yeah, just reprint them and just smudge it to focus a little bit and just keep changing the photo.
He rode awesome and definitely saw the funny side.
He's been riding good though. I thought he was riding good on the weekend. So.
He rode
fantastic. He's still on only a 350 out there with the boys too.
Yeah, he's riding awesome. MX1B, like what a character, Jackson Williams. Putting on an absolute show. I don't know whether he realised he was racing or whether it was just a demo for throwing the biggest whips. But
whips and everything else. I've known Jackson since he was on a 50, and he's raced at Horsham a lot of times, and he went missing in action for a lot of time, and now he's into running marathons and things like that, and
unbelievable. Well, when
he
we were
throws that 450 around like a rag doll, it's like, get out of here.
Yeah, when we were going to do the podium and those guys were on track, like the podium interview, those guys were on track, and Clemo said, "Watch this. When he comes around on the first lap, he's going to throw a massive whip. Like, get your camera ready. And I was like, I hear that all the time. And I'm like, and then the guy comes over and does a dead sailor and stuff, and I was a bit skeptical, and then. He threw that thing, and it was like pointing backwards in the air, and he only just got it back around. Like, he's a madman.
And like he's had this year, he's finally having a good season, because you turn up, smoke him in one race meeting, or have bike issues halfway through the day, and then pack up and not even finish the day. And you're thinking, if this kid can just put it together and he'll be up there racing with Bryce and Jacob next year and give them a run. So.
Yeah. Well, he's dominating the B grade class.
He is.
Yeah.
And that's where you expect him to be if he puts the season together.
For sure.
And doesn't have bike issues. So.
MX1C. Now we know how to say it. Alex Sabatucci, Alex East, Jesse Clemson, and Ben Davis. They finished in that order from first to fourth. But these guys battled all weekend, and like, how was the vibe after the race and on the podium? Like, they were just...
Yeah, they loving it.
Yeah, they couldn't be more stoked.
No, Alexander Sabatucci raced, and he hadn't raced for 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, yep.
Yep, and comes out and takes out the raceman. He was pumped. He was. He's a big boy too.
Yes.
So he can throw that 450 around.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex is riding well. And then, Clemson put it together and just bet Ben Davis for fourth. So.
Yeah. So, and Ben Davis has been on the podium quite a few times. So, it's a closely contested class, and it looks like these boys have a lot of fun when they're out on track too, which is always cool to see.
Yeah, mate, there's some great racing all day, but on Sunday, I thought the racing was amazing. So
yeah, no,
the weather was a little bit more friendly, so that helped us. So.
No, I had an absolute ball out there all weekend, apart from the cold on Saturday, but we'll forget about that and we'll focus on the hot racing.
Yeah, it was red hot.
Yep. All right, so next senior round is in August, 16th to 17th out at Cobram. Very, very different track to Horsham, and we've got a bit of a break now of, almost 2 months. So
it's just with all the Prime X stuff and everything now, and Hatter, and then there's a few events up Queensland way that take precedence over us, so we can't run. So.
Yep, we're going to have to wait and see how some of these championships play out.
Yeah, it should be really good. And I'm keen as for the final round at Cobram. We got a new club committee and that out there, so it'll be interesting to see how these young blokes, because it's like 50 dads and 65 dads that are running it.
Well, I'm interested to see how that track shapes up, being that we had a junior round there last year, and it was actually pretty cool. I don't mind that track, but yeah, I don't know. I sort of think it's going to be interesting to see the big bikes out there. It was really good for a junior round of racing. I don't know.
Yeah. It puts on some great racing for the seniors, because that sand down the start straights and things like that, they move it more than the littler bikes. It gets rougher and everything. So
I can't wait.
I've seen some good racing at Cobram, definitely.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I look forward to it. I better get these riders on the line and have a chat. Thanks again, Kenny. It's been an absolute pleasure, and well done on the weekend for the club. We didn't really talk about it, but the facilities and everything as a whole that you've got going on up at Horsham, from the canteen and the toilets and the banners and the shades and everything, like the spectator areas. It's unreal, man. You guys do an amazing job up there.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Whoopi. And welcome on board Wonthaggi Motorcycles and Power Equipment too. That's awesome.
Thanks, Kenny.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Our first guest rider on tonight's show is 30-plus expert vets racer Ray Cole. How are you going, Ray?
Yeah, good yourself, Pete. Good to be on.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you on, mate. I sort of were just saying when we were speaking off air that I felt like you sort of came out of the blue during last year's VIX series, so I didn't know much about you. So, looking forward to tonight's chat and learning a little bit more about you and your background. So, before we get into it, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm 31, almost 32 actually, and I'm in earth moving and just do the bikes at the off time. And
yeah, you do a bit of racing, bit of riding in between the VIX rounds, or is there any other sort of events that you do?
Not overly, to be honest. I've been doing the Western region a little bit, but I've been riding up at Rainbow a fair bit, training for Finke, and now on to Hatter, which I'm probably going to have a little bit of a rest time before Hatter. Might get a bit of a ride in, but I won't go too far, I don't think. Only do what I need to, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely ask you a little bit more about Finke and Hatter in a minute. But before we get to that, tell me a little bit about your weekend at Horsham.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good actually. I was I knew I had to. It was sort of one of my stronger tracks over Alley, so I was like, I've got to try win, because if I could win the 3 for the day, I knew we'd be tied on points. Well, as long as he comes second, be tied on points going into the last round, which we're pretty good mates. So, it was good to get the wins over him, which it wasn't easy. I was struggling a little bit with the arm pump and so on for the day, but it was good.
Yeah. What did you think about the track? It sort of looked pretty wet in the morning and pretty slippery, like there was riders going all over the joint, especially on the up ramps.
Yeah, it was so wet, like so sticky and heavy dirt. It wasn't too bad. It actually hung around for a lot longer than I was expecting. I expected it to dry out sort of by the second round, but then it got that hard, shiny, greasy, like it always sort of does there, and it's like ice. Like you just aim for it and you just hope there's a rut that's going to catch you on the other side of it.
Yeah,
it was good.
I was talking to Kenny earlier, and I was surprised at the change in the conditions between Saturday and Sunday. Like on Sunday, it was really, really tacky. Like it wasn't slippery at all. Even just walking across the track, like you could feel the difference. It was completely different.
Yeah, I actually I did look at the photos and I was like, I wish I was I was expecting it was going to get rain there, but I was like, I should have raced today. after seeing the photos and all that, I was like, it looks like unreal.
It didn't run up as much either, so it was a lot faster. You mentioned already that you had a few battles with Ali Kent and even Al Lewis. Like it's such a strong class, the 30+ expert vets. Have you been racing against those guys? Like I see you on the start line and there's always a bit of banter and you seem to get on pretty well. Have you been racing those guys for a while?
Yeah, I've been racing with Ali would have been, I don't think we did in juniors. We might have briefly, but years. And always been riding, having fun, doing like bush, going to sand dunes, all of that, like for years. So it's a good bit of fun. Al Lewis has been keeping us on our toes too, and he's come over to the Blue Crew, which is pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, the top 3 guys all on Yamaha.
Yeah, I know. It's it's good to have a couple more out there.
Yep. Are you on the 450? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm on the 450. Yeah. I've actually that was my first motocross on the new 25 I just got after me 22 blew up down there at Wonthaggi.
Oh, yes. Yep. How'd you find it, the 25?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I come straight out of the desert with bloody very tall gearing, so it was a little bit different. Just stock suspension and all that, but it was, it was good. Yeah. I needed a start button though. We struggled on the starts all day. Like Ali had one on and he just rocketed out of the gate. Then it was like, all right, I've got to try to get past him on this first lap and make it happen very quick if I'm going to get around.
Yeah. Well, you did come back from Finke. We sort of just spoke about that and you mentioned it even when we did the podium interviews. So, tell me a little bit about Finke and what that transition was like going back to motocross.
Yeah, no, Finke was, we had a real good week up to it and then weekend at the race. So I've done a bit of pre-running and so on, trying to just, like, it's so much track and so many different, you got big whoops in areas, you got fast, top gear, sort of sitting on your 150, 160 k's an hour in sections, and then you got rocks, and it's good fun. But yeah, no, I had a real good weekend and just smooth runs up and down, and it was good to get a podium and finish in the top 10 outright, which is sort of been one of the goals. I didn't expect it this year, but there was a few big names that crashed out pre-running actually and broke themselves, which isn't ideal, but it happens.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal effort to get a top 10 in Finke. Have you done Finke before?
Yeah, I did it back in 2017, and then I said I'd never do it again. And then the partner's brother wanted to do it and tick it off. Yeah. So I decided I'd do it again, and that was in 23. And then we've sort of become 24th that year, and then I got 16th last year, and now 8th. And I've sort of said that I'd keep going back until we go back in the outright position. So I'll probably be back again next year by the looks of it.
Unreal. And you're saying that your partner and your young bub went over as well. Do they sort of go with you to all the races as well?
Yeah, most of them, whenever they can. We usually, try take the caravan and stay at the track and so on. They flew up to Alice. I don't think they wanted to do the 23-hour drive or whatever it is.
Don't blame them. Yeah.
No.
So was it the same bike that you raced at Horsham, and what was that transition like going from desert racing back to motocross?
Yeah, it was the same bike. I actually only got it from WBR 3 weeks before Finke and got it set up, and I went to run it in down here one day and it was raining, so I ended up just putting it in the trailer, built, ready to go. Yeah. I ended up running it in Alice, and then it wasn't too bad. I wasn't sure what it was going to feel like. Like, it was totally different. Like, went from 1442 gearing back to the 1350 or whatever's on it. Oh. And it was definitely a little bit quicker out of the corners, but it wasn't too bad. I just chucked me stock suspension back in it steg pegs off it, and I still ran the steer and damp, and I just turned right down. But I honestly adapt to them pretty, like it just felt normal.
Yeah, it didn't show.
No, it didn't. Like it was, except the foam grips, I was still running them, and I didn't love them, and I reckon that's probably half the problem with my arm pump for the day. My right arm was like killing. But anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how's the body in general? Like after Finke, it's a pretty demanding race, and you didn't really have a massive amount of time in between coming back from Finke and Horsham. So, yeah, how was the body feeling?
No, it was pretty good. My left hand had a few blisters on it. There was one in particular that the skin only come off it Thursday or Friday, and yeah, that was pretty sore, and another one on my thumb that was bleeding in practice. So the rest of my body was pretty good. Like I had a few sore muscles early in the week, but yeah, the 4 days in between wasn't really enough for the hands and so on to be completely right. But no, it was good.
No, I mean, after doing and preparing for Finke, I imagine that the fitness side of things isn't really a massive issue. What do you do for training and riding? You've obviously got the vet life and family life and work and everything else to juggle. So what do you do for training in between?
Not a hell of a lot, really. I go to the gym most mornings, which is a battle sometimes, especially if the young fella doesn't sleep great. But before the should have been going earlier, but I struggled early on the year with a bit of motivation and just felt tired. But lately was every morning.
Yep.
And then I don't do a lot of riding in between races. It's apart from the desert training, that's sort of all I've done. I rarely ever hit a motocross track apart from racing, so I should try to do more of it, but we'll try to get to Park 4 actually before it closes down.
Yeah. Well, watching you ride, you've obviously been riding and racing at a reasonably high level for quite some time. Talking to you off air, I thought you had an off-road or an enduro background, but that's not the case. Like, how'd you get into the sport and sort of what's your background in racing motorbikes?
I actually used to event horses for a little while when Dad was always too busy working. But yeah, what was I, like 14 roughly? I used to just go to Warrnambool, do club days and like on TDR 125, and then just sort of was winning them and got an 85, and then thought, we might go do some of the. Went out and watched at Colac once, I think, and then maybe we'll got the MA license, and then started doing Western regions, and it sort of just went from there. I did go to the Junior Aussies 1 year, but I can't remember what year that was. I think it was 2009 actually. But yeah, I just sort of done the Vics and a bit of that, and it sort of went from there. And then I stopped. Well, I can't remember. It was maybe around 2017 or 18. I stopped and hurt me back a little bit at a crash at Warrnambool. I then went interstate truck driving, and I sort of stopped for like 5 years, or maybe not quite that, 4 or 5 years maybe. And and then decided to get back into it, and then we're old enough for the vets class, and it's a good, fun class, and just riding with mates and so on.
Yeah, when you raced when you were younger, did you always have success, and did you sort of make it up to B grade, A grade level?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first year on the 85 I only done the 1 year in juniors, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I went from C grade to B grade sort of the mid-year, back when they used to do mid-year gradings. And then I must have went to A pretty quick, but sort of went pretty well early on the 85, and then was only on it for the year, and then got onto the 250F, and I think we sort of went, we dropped back to, we must have went to A on the 85, and then we dropped back to B when I went to seniors, and then, pretty sure I went back to A that first year on the 250, which, was good, and then been there since.
Did you ever have like a goal at that stage to pursue it as a career, or at least more seriously?
I did. I did a little bit. I went and done a few national rounds, but like just to have the time and the money, I suppose, to pursue it to that level is a whole nother level, I guess. But yeah, it was sort of a bit hard back in the day trying to do that. Like doing the racing we were doing was expensive enough without travelling all over the countryside and riding more and more. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, for sure. So when you're not racing, what sort of stuff are you into outside of motocross and dirt bikes?
I do a bit of ski racing, which actually isn't happening at the moment. It's
as in water skiing?
On a hold. Yeah, water ski racing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I usually do that through the summer, which is a good bit of fun. But yeah, usually go up the river, or motorbikes is the main one. I'm on motorbikes a fair bit. Like on my Harley or so on. I've got a road track bike as well that I go down to Phillip Island every now and then, except we crashed it last time we were there, so we haven't been back down there for a little while.
All right. Really appreciate you coming on for a chat, Ray. Before I let you go, who helps you get to the races?
I've got a few local sort of sponsors and a lot of people I know, which has been great help for getting to Finke. But I've got Vic Low Loaders, Bartlett Stone from Colac, Doopy's Earth Moving, which is the boss. He's been really good with time off work to go to Alice and do all the things that I do, and then tyre powering Colac Motorcycles, WBR Motorcycles, LNR Fencing, Ease Race Products, helped out there for Finke this year, Bay City Finance, Guillotine House Hair Design, my hairdresser. She looks after me as well, which is handy.
Look good, ride good. Is that the theory?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and then Native Concepts doing my graphics.
Yeah,
which is they're doing pretty sweet kits for these.
Oh, you got a bit of a laundry list of sponsors there, man. It's good to hear.
Yeah. We don't. Maybe need to next year try get some more support off some of the motorbike brand ones for going and doing Finke, so I can try to get up there and do a bit more pre-running and so on. But we'll work on that later in the year, I suppose.
Yeah. And so, what are your goals moving forward from now in terms of racing?
Well, try win the vets class this year would be good at the Vix, and then going to Hatter in a few weeks' time. And I'm not sure, I've never done Hatter, so it's a bit of we'll just see what happens here, but hopefully I'd like to be top 20 at least, and then on to Finke next year, and hopefully I'd love to get a top 5 up there, but it's the 50th next year, so it might be a big year, I reckon.
Yeah. Have you been to Hatter before?
I've been and helped mates, it's quite a few years ago now, but that's the only time. I tried to enter 2 years ago and the website crashed.
Yeah.
And it didn't get in, and then last year the young fella was due like that the weekend.
Yep.
So we decided that I better not do it.
Yep. I think that's a pretty wise move.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that would have went down real well.
No, all good. All right, well, good luck with it. As we sort of mentioned, you're tied on points with Ali Kent coming into the final round of the VIX, and Al Lewis is only 7 points behind. So, good three-way battle with you guys, and I look forward to seeing how it plays out at Cobram in a couple of months' time. Yeah,
it's going to be good, and it's going to be a good, fun weekend, I reckon. It'll be great.
For sure. Thanks, Ray. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, Pete.
All right, joining us now on the line is another rider guest. He races the MX2 C-grade class. Tomas Smart, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Bloody happy to be here.
No, it's good to have you on, and good to have a chat. It was definitely an eventful weekend for you, so we'll get into that. But, before we get started, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm 20 years old. I got into racing, or started actually racing in 2023. I was very much later getting into it than 90% of people you see out on the field now. So I got into it, well, it was actually my first year of racing in 2023. I started doing a bit of training in 22, just to get a bit of confidence up to actually start racing. And yeah, kicked off my first season in 23, and it had a bit of an all right season. Like, it was a bit crappy. I was always down at the lower end of the field, but towards the end of it, started getting a little bit better results. And yeah, in the pre-season training for 2024, did my ACL and had surgery for that in February 2024, and was out until the start of this season. So I've really only done about 1.5 seasons of racing in the 3 years I should have been racing. So haven't had much time or experience racing in general.
Yeah, well, welcome to motocross. So no, that's a big injury. Massive injury to have the ACL, and obviously a long recovery. How's it going now?
Yeah, well, it's really, really good. Like, there's no complications with it at all. Sometimes in the really, really cold mornings, you can kind of feel it a bit, but I guess it was more the mental side of it that really took a toll than the physical side. Especially with the recovery process after surgery, it was like, it got to a point where like you couldn't really walk properly, and with that you kind of second guess yourself. It's like, am I going to be able to ride again? Like, it's those baby steps that you kind of have to take with that recovery, and it takes such a big mental toll. And that was a really big struggle to get back on the bike and have the confidence in myself, and also that my knee's hopefully not going to snap again, and go, right, push this to the back, focus on your riding, and just kind of pray that it doesn't snap again. So that's how it's been going, and I haven't had an issue since. So I've been really happy with it. Yeah.
Contentious question. Do you wear knee braces?
Yes. Yeah. So I wear the Pod K4s. I couldn't get the K8s because none of them fit my knee properly, so I had to go with the K4s. But absolute world of difference. Like, I couldn't recommend it enough for people to get knee braces, because like, at the end of the day, it's such a career killer for people. Like, especially back in the day when knee braces weren't used much, it ruined a lot of people's careers. Yeah. So I love them, absolutely love them.
So I'm assuming you weren't wearing knee braces when you hurt your knee?
Well, I was. That's the thing. The way I did my injury, it was, I don't think a knee brace would have really helped either way. I actually did a caramburra coming down one of the back straights where it kind of sweeps left a little bit. Was going a pretty decent speed and had the leg out, and the back end slid a little bit, and the leg dropped and caught on a rut and just slammed on the ground basically with all my force, and the bike behind me it's like you're just stomping on the ground at like 50 k's an hour. It was a big pop, and nothing was going to save that one.
So did it get pulled sideways?
No, it was like I just stomped down.
Yep.
Essentially, it was it hurt. It hurt a lot.
So when you got back into it this year, so what was it like? Did you have a lot of time to train and to practice before the Victorian Championship series started?
Well, when did I get back on the bike? It was around October or November-ish that I got back on the bike itself, and I was riding a 252 stroke, an XC, and I've never ridden a two-stroke properly on the track before. That was my first ever time riding it on the track, and also being back on the track after such a long injury. It was a bit of a oh crap moment, like trying to learn a new bike and trying to learn how to even ride again. So that was a bit of a struggle. So that was about October, November-ish, and then I believe around January time, I got the 4-stroke, and just try to train as much as possible. It was a little bit hard just because training is expensive at the end of the day, like track fees, fuel, just getting there, it's all expensive. So because I got no sponsors, like it's all out of pocket. So that was a lot of money just trying to put into train and the time and then work. So I didn't, in the span of things, I didn't really get a whole lot of time to train for for the round one even. So it was definitely a struggle. And being that it was at Wonthaggi, it was like, oh my God. And I've never raced at that track. Been so difficult in my life. Like by the end of the first or second moto, I'm like, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
It was absolutely bonkers. And even some of the A graders were saying that the track was just insane. So I felt a little bit better after hearing some of the pro guys say that.
Yeah. Oh, that was such a rough weekend. That was unbelievable. So, before we talk about Horsham, how'd you go at those first two rounds and sort of what did you think?
So Wonthaggi went all right. Like my qualifying, I think I got a 10th place in qualifying. The rest of the motos, I think they went pretty crappy. Like I couldn't really expect much being my first race back in so long. And it being a Vic Titles as well, like it was definitely a struggle street for me. It was definitely on the lower end of where I placed. But then we went over to Traralgon for the next round, and I was absolutely pumped for that one. I felt great. I felt, the fitness was there. The time on the seat was there. So I really, really wanted to give it my all. And then what ended up happening was that on the siding lap, as we're coming down the big straight, the hooks to the left to go down the start, my dumb ass basically clicked like an acceleration bump out of that corner, flung the seat up, hit me in the ass, and then I've just absolutely gone over the bars and just smacked on the ground and ended up giving myself the biggest concussion. So that was a struggle. Still got back on the bike and finished qualifying, but I remember as I got back on the bike, every time I turned a corner, I didn't know where I was. It was like I rode this track for the first time. Like I was in the air and I didn't know where I was going.
Oh,
I was phasing in and out like a dream. I don't actually know how I finished qualifying, but ended up getting back to my mates, forgot that they were there, got to the hospital and, basically got told I had a nice concussion and ended the day off pretty early on that one. So, look, it is what it is. I'm a bit disappointed on how that day went, but what can you do?
For sure. So moving on to Horsham, you came into the Horsham round. We were chatting, at the beginning of the event. You were coming off sort of a personal best in the Gippsland Series, some top 10 finishes. So you're coming into Horsham pretty confident. Tell me about how Horsham went for you and your thoughts on the track. I think it's your first time up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was my first ever time experiencing the Horsham track. I wasn't too sure. Like I kind of had a vague idea from watching some of the replays of the Pro MX, like kind of a vague idea of what I was getting into, but honestly, nothing could have prepared me until I actually went to the track itself and had a real good look at it, because what you see on those TVs, like, just doesn't compare to how the actual track is itself.
Yeah.
So, the night before doing a track walk, I'm like, whoa, this track is fast. So it was definitely a learning curve with just how fast the track is and how the soil is in and of itself. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a pretty thin layer on the top of that clay. It's like a clay.
Yep.
And it just molds these really interesting kind of ruts. And that was something to kind of try and wrap my head around. And in some corners, it was like a flat track with a really solid like base, but you're just sliding everywhere. So that was another big struggle trying to actually get through that. So definitely a learning curve of a track. So nothing like I've ridden. It was definitely difficult.
I feel like you guys copped a bit of a raw deal on the Saturday. I was talking to Kenny earlier in the podcast, and like Sunday, the track was completely different. It was super tacky. It didn't get, for the most part, a lot of the deep ruts, and it was very much flat, tacky, fast corners. Like the track was even faster on Sunday, but the riders didn't have to contend with sort of those slippery conditions. So the first moto, You know, we chatted on the day. You looked like you struggled a little bit. You weren't sort of overly confident. Yeah, talk me through that one.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a crappy qualifying for me. So, you know, coming into that round with all this confidence quickly faded away after that qualifying session, getting out on the track and then realizing, oh crap, I can't see the faces of these jumps, trying to come up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sun was positioned so perfectly that it was all just shadow faces. And there's these people in front of me just absolutely sending it. And I'm looking at it going, no way. I am not doing that. I want to live. I'm the only one here at the track. It was only me that's driven down here. I've got to get back home, which is a good nearly 4 hours away. I might just wait until the actual races or the sun's lifted up a bit before I start jumping these. So, yeah, the qualifying went a bit crap. I was towards the bottom of that one. So it made me struggle a little bit for that first moto where the confidence just wasn't there. It's well, qualifying just went crap. So how's Moto 1 going to be? So, yeah, Moto 1 went a bit iffy. Was towards the bottom again. I think I got 14th on that one. I couldn't find a flow on that track. I was really struggling with just trying to keep up with the pace. And I think that when you know that you're absolutely getting your ass handed to you on the track, it kind of, I don't know, in your mind, it's well, damn, just really brings that confidence down and then brings that speed down. And then it kind of just gets to a point where you're just trying to survive. So that's how Moto 1 for me, I guess, was just the trying to survive, I guess you could say. But Moto 2 was a hell of a lot better. It was so much better of a start. I remember coming into that first turn and I'm not sure exactly who it was, but old mate on the Yami absolutely went down hard and trying to dodge him. There was about 5 or so riders just trying to get around this guy. I was whoa. So that was really good fun and finished that moto off with a 9th. But there was a little bit of a funny story with that moto. I believe the rider that was in front of me at the time was, I think it was 916.
Jet James.
Yeah, so he was in front of me, and I had this guy the previous moto yell at me midway through a corner, he just screamed, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm getting lapped, and I kind of realised that, hang on, I'm not getting lapped. I'm only 3 minutes into this moto, and as I looked behind me and he's went past me, I'm going, hang on, that's not the leader. What the hell is this guy on about? This guy's just screaming at me from behind me, thinking that I'm getting lapped and I'm in his way or something. And I was just so bizarre and just annoyed. I'm really? Did I really just get passed like that? So the second moto, I believe it was, poor Jet, I come up behind him and I thought, I have to try this. This is for 9th place. I just have to try this. So we're coming into these roller sections and I just scream, ah, right behind him. And I see his head just fling behind him, thinking that he's about to get passed by the leader. And I just went on the inside and just went, whoops. I had to try that and it worked. It worked really well, but I felt a little bit bad.
What goes around comes around. I think that's it'd be interesting to hear his take on that. But yeah, that's funny as.
It would definitely be some idiot just bloody yelled at me. So I turned around and then he goes in on the inside. But no, it's all fun, I guess. At the end of the day, it's just racing. So got to give it your all. And as long as no one got hurt or wasn't a dirty move, I'm sure we can all appreciate a good little tactic here and there.
And like I said to you when we spoke about it, watching you ride in that second moto was probably the best I've ever seen you ride. And I've seen you race at the Gippies for quite some time. It was super impressive. Definitely a huge step up from Moto 1 and a top 10 finish. It's in a fairly heavy gate is a fantastic result. So coming into Moto 3, What happened?
Well, so Moto3 went as well as you could probably think. It ended in a crash, and it was on the first turn off the gate.
I'll correct you there. It started with a crash. Didn't end.
Well, it started.
Yeah.
It got a DNF on that one. So, yeah, coming into Moto3 with a whole heap of confidence after that second moto, I was definitely there to prove a point. I was like, nah, I'm not letting this defeat me. You know, I want to try and get that top 8, top 9. So was lined up on the gate with all this confidence, and the gate's dropped, and we've gunned it for this corner, and old mate next to me has just come in that little bit faster, and all of a sudden I've just watched him turn, and I've gone, oh no, and my front wheel got caught in his bike, and him turning right made my bike turn left, and his rear wheel just grated my bike, and I've just slammed the ground. And my bike was absolutely stuffed. Like the front plate was ripped off. I had marks all through the front of the suspension and the front guard. But apparently, when I come off, my front plate got carried with the guy for about, I don't know, 50 meters or something. Like it just stuck on his bike. Apparently, like they picked up my bike and went, hang on, where's this guy's front plate? So that was definitely a bummer of a moto, especially when you got something to prove to yourself. It's just, ends in something so crap. But you know, what do you do? You just gotta move on. That's racing, and try and strive for another good one. And so that's what our aim is.
How'd you pull up on Monday morning?
Oh, mate, I was in so much pain. I remember I opened my eyes and I sat in bed like I didn't want to move, and I just wanted to call the boss and say I can't come in today. But then I kind of remembered how broken my bike was. And I went, crap, someone's got to fix this bike. And got up and went to work. And I remember I walked into the office. I said to my coworker, I don't give a shit what we're doing today. I'm sitting at my desk. So it was a day of kind of just sitting there watching the AMA races from the day before.
That's the reality of running a self-funded amateur racing program.
Oh, 100%. Like it can be definitely a bit of a struggle, but I guess it's the love of the sport. Like it's, you know, it's expensive, but if you love it, then why not? You know, people spend big money on doing other kinds of things in life. And, you know, I love racing bikes, and, well, at the moment, it sounds like I love crashing them. So I guess I'm doing a pretty good job on that one.
Yeah. So you said you got into racing fairly late in life, you know, being, I guess, in your very late teens. But what are your goals and ambitions when it comes to racing and motocross?
Well, my goal is I at least want to get my first win sometime. That's my ultimate goal, whether that be a Gippies or a Vix. My own self goal, I guess, is just to try and get to that podium and try and get to that win. But if we're talking of more of a deeper level, like in terms of like what I dream of being able to do one day, was I'd love to race at Marvel Stadium. Like that is like my 10-year plan. I'd love to just one day be able to just be in that stadium and just race. Even if I come dead last, just to be able to say that I raced at Marvel Stadium would have been a dream come true. That's what I'd say that my goals and ambitions are, but got to start off small first.
That's it. Start off with that first win, or at least that first podium.
100%, but got to have goals to keep yourself going. So that's what's keeping me going. So
100%, mate. 100%. Well, before I let you go, and I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, you said before you don't have any sponsors, so who supports your program and helps you get to the races?
That would be my van, Pedro. He helps me get to the races when it's not breaking down. Yeah, look, I'm self-funded. Like it's all from my own wallet, really. Like I wouldn't say I have many sponsors, or really any sponsors. Well, you help me out with photos and being able to come into your podcast and talk. So that honestly helps out quite a lot, and you know I really appreciate that. Just in the terms of financials, it's all self-funded.
It's tough. Yeah, yep. I feel
it's really, really
feel
tough.
your pain, mate.
love the sport, so got to keep it going.
That's it, mate. Keep that Marvel dream alive.
100%. I got all the posters around my room from Marvel Stadium and some of the Pro MX races, just kind of keeping that little spark alive even when I crash down on the ground.
Well, fortunately, you're not injured, and I assume you're going to race the last round out at Cobram.
I am definitely going to try to if I can get this bike fixed up. I'm not sure actually when the next round of Cobram is.
You got a couple of months.
Oh, I should be fine then. Yeah, if I don't get the bike fixed up by then, I'll be really concerned.
Yep.
But no, we'll make it work, and I'll definitely be down there. I may as well finish off the series and try and finish on a high. So that's going to be the goal, is just finish.
Get 3 motos in.
If I can do that, I'll be a happy chap.
No, I look forward to it, mate. I look forward to it. And if I don't speak to you before, I will see you at Cobram.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pete. It's been an absolute blast.
It has, mate. Thanks, Tommy. And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Vic MX Show, brought to you by Wonthaggi Motorcycles and Power Equipment. If you like this episode, don't forget to give us a positive review on your preferred podcast platform, and make sure you subscribe to Mental for Moto and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the next show. I'd like to say a massive thanks to Kenny Watts for joining me to co-host, as well as our guests for this episode, Tomas Smart and Ray Cole. A shout out also to the June sponsor of our Vic MX wall calendars, Motocross Conditioning Coach. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. On behalf of Mental for Moto, I've been your host, Pete Wolf. Until next time, see ya.